Hi, my name is Olatunde. I'll be your mathematics tutor throughout the entire course of this video series. Our first lecture in this series is whole numbers. What do you look forward to learning? You're going to learn how to count and write in millions, billions, and trillions. You're going to learn how to read and write large numbers, how to compare and other large numbers, and then finally, we're going to do a brief touch on Roman numerals. Let us begin with the first section of this lecture, which is counting and writing in millions, billions, and trillions. It's widely accepted that mathematics began with the ancient people through counting and measuring of objects, shapes, heaps, and so on. Take for example, if a farmer harvests 1,000 yam from his farm, it might be difficult for him to count it all at once. He could then decide to count it in fives, in tens, in 20s, in 50s, or in hundreds, as the case may be. Now let's assume he decides to count in hundreds. It means that if he counts 10 hundreds, that would be equal to 1,000. And I'm sure you have learned previously how to count up to million. Now, it is time for us to go over now and learn new things. Now, a table will be displayed in the screen. Now, this table is a table showing you numerals and words. The first one we have on the table is 1 with 3 zeros, and we'll call that 1,000. For the second one, we have 1 with 4 zeros, and that is 10,000. We have 1 with 5 zeros, that is 100,000. 1 with 6 zeros, that is 1 million. 1 with 7 zeros is 10 million. 1 with 8 zeros is 100 million. 1 with 9 zeros is 1 billion. 1 with 10 zeros is 10 billion. 1 with 11 zeros is 100 billion. 1 with 12 zeros is 1 trillion. 1 with 13 zeros is 10 trillion, and finally, 1 with 14 zeros is 100 trillion. Now, here are some examples on how to count in numerals. You are expected to write the following words in numeral. The first one is 10 million. You'll recall that 10 million has 7 zeros. So we simply write 10 million as this. Now the first step we need to take is to write out 1 with 7 zeros. Now the second step is to separate the zeros with a comma, 3 zeros at a time, starting from right to left. Now the third step is to repeat the process again until we finally arrive at 10 million. Second example we have is to write in numeral 200 million. You'll recall that 100 million has 8 zeros. So we write 200 million as this. The first step is to write out 2 with 8 zeros. The second step is to separate the zeros with a comma, that is 3 zeros at a time, starting from right to left. The third step is to repeat the process again, and then we arrive at 200 million. The next example is to write in numeral 173 billion. The first step is to write out the place values of the numbers. So we write 100 billion, 10 billion, billion, 100 million, 10 million, million, 100,000, thousand, 100 tens, and unit. The second step is to separate the numbers into their corresponding place values. We have 100 billion, that is 1 with 11 zeros. We have 70 billion, that is 1. We have 70 billion, that is 7 with 10 zeros. And we have 3 billion, that is 3 with 9 zeros. The third step is to sum these numbers together and then separate the numbers with a comma, starting with 3 zeros at a time from right to left. At the end of the day, we arrive at 173 billion as 173, 000, 000, 000. The next example we have is 470 trillion. We repeat the same process again by writing out the place values of the number. We have trillion, 100 billion, 10 billion, we have billion, 100 million, 10 million, million, 100,000, 10,000, thousand, hundred, tens, and unit. The next is to separate the numbers into their corresponding place values. We have 400 trillion, that is 4 with 14 zeros. We have 70 trillion, that is 7 with 13 zeros. The third step is to sum them together, and then we arrive at 470 trillion, as you can see displayed on the screen. The next series of example we have is to write the following numerals in words. The first example we have 80 000 000 000. The first step is to count the number of zeros. When we count the number of zeros, you would agree with me that we have 7 zeros, and 7 zeros represent 10 million. The second step is to note the number in front of the zeros, and that is 8. Now the third step is 8 in tens is called 80. So 80 000 000 is thus written as 80 million. The next example is 1 000 000 000. The first step again is to count the number of zeros we have. Counting the number of zeros, you will agree with me that we have 9 zeros, and 9 zeros represent 1 billion. The second step is to note the numbers in front of the zero, and that is 1. Now the third step, 1 in units is called 1, so that gives us 1 billion. The next example we have is the number 217 856 937 000. Now in this case, our first step is to write the numbers in their place value, starting from the last number, that is 7, then 3, then 9, and so forth. So, writing the numbers in their corresponding place value, you see what is being displayed on the screen. Now, after writing all the numbers in their corresponding place values, the second step is to call the numbers based on their location in the place value. That is, all the numbers in the B place value are called together as 217 billion. Now, followed by all the numbers that are in the M place values as 856 million, then followed by numbers in the TH place value as 937,000. Step 3 now is to combine all the words together. So the number 217 856 937 000 is written as 217 billion 856 million 937,000. Let us now talk about Roman numerals briefly. You have learned prior to this lecture the Roman numeral of 1 as I, the Roman numeral of 5 as V, that of 10 as X, that of 50 as L, and 100 as C, 500 as D, and 1000 as M. Now 4 would be 1 minus from 5, and that gives us IV. 9 will be 1 subtracted from 10, and that gives us IX. 40 will be 10 subtracted from 50, and that gives us XL. 90 will be 10 subtracted from 100, and that gives us XC. 400 will be 100 subtracted from 500, and that gives us CD. And then 900 will be 100 subtracted from 1000, and that gives us CM. Now the table that you see displayed on the screen is the corresponding Roman numerals for all the numbers that I just mentioned. So take a little time to look at the table and master the Roman numerals. This is how we'll come to the end of this lecture. I hope to see you in the next lecture.